You know, on a credit card, that little thing right there that says you can just tap and pay, tap and pay. I bet money if you look at your credit card or debit card, you have that. Today we're going to talk about the risk in having that. Also, we're going to talk about wireless network. I mean, connectivity is so good, but are they getting a little too much more information that you shouldn't be giving them, and actually you're giving them? We're going to discuss that story. Also, we're going to talk about livestock. They're shutting down livestock sales across the world because now cows are getting sick. What did we talk about happening tomorrow with biological warfare? What did we talk about the dangers of hurting the atmosphere, hurting the livestock, hurting the food system? Then we rely on this multi-billion-dollar push to grow our food in petri dishes. Also, we're going to discuss major layoffs. We're hoping to see our market get better when it comes to jobs. But sadly, between AI and between the pushes to get rid of humans and American citizens, massive layoffs are actually taking place. We're going to discuss that. And lastly, we're going to discuss another targeted event. FBI just busted China from targeting our military. What is going on? Now, this is on the cusp of what we talked about yesterday. The things with targeting, the things with livestock, all that matters because of what's taking place tomorrow. Let's dive into these stories and a few more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now let's jump into the stories. And hey, before we do, I've got a monster video coming out on Life with Colby Mack. I'm going to show you a very big secret that I've been holding for 2 years. It is huge. This is not clickbait. This is just the honest truth. I want you to go check it out. I'm gonna leave a link to that video below, but do not miss that video. We will be releasing it right after this one, and I'm hoping that it opens a lot of eyes. It's a big secret I've been working on for really almost 3 years. Now let's dive into the stories. First, let's talk about this livestock situation. And this is happening in Turkey. This story comes from Turkey, but they're saying this could be taking place all over. And then we're going to jump into the credit cards and the wireless. Breaking, Turkey's agricultural minister has ordered the immediate shutdown of all livestock markets nationwide after a sharp rise in foot and mouth disease cases. It intensifies in animals' movements in the certain provinces. The urgent order issued for 81 provinces because of the rapid spread of highly contagious virus. Now, what did we talk about with the Nipah virus tomorrow and some of the risks that you're hearing associated with herding livestock? Now, that may have nothing to do with this, but what I'm saying is this. Cattle markets are already at the all-time high. You can sell calves now for literally quadruple what you were selling calves just a few years back. We're really seeing an increase in the cost of food. And part of that is the cost of the livestock or the vegetation growing. So when we hear about a major stop in shortages and selling of animals because of dangerous viruses, what does that make happen? Remember, supply demand. Shortages calls for more cost. We're already at the very highest point in cattle pricing than it's ever been. What that means is it slows down the farmer, hurts the farmer, but ultimately hurts the consumer. We have a cow that we just butchered, and the average cost for me for like a tenderloin or a New York strip was like $2 or $3. That's unbelievable. It's because I raised my own. Now, if you're buying it from a farmer, you probably could still get a good price. But if you were buying it from this butcher that was helping us, his average price of a sirloin steak, which is, more your economic cuts, your chuck steaks, sirloin steaks, and then it goes up from there, was around $18, $19 a pound, and then it went up to like where New York strips were like $22 a pound. Ground beef was $8 a pound. And this is in South Mississippi. It blew my mind. Like I had a double take. I was like, there's no way it's cost that much. Maybe I looked at the numbers wrong. So we already see a cost of livestock at the sale barn costing more. We're seeing the cost for the farmer more. We're seeing now the cost for the consumer more. And then all of a sudden, different parts of a region of the Middle East and India is now shutting down cattle markets. Now they're saying the rapid spread could cause problems into different parts of the world, even into Europe and so forth. Now remember, we live in a world that everybody spreads everything because we maneuver across the globe at an alarming rate. Does that mean that the cattle is going to be shipped over here and we're going to have viruses? No. But what I'm saying is, when there's a shortage globally of anything, it will affect you in the cost of goods. Remember, anything that happens in the Middle East, the petroleum goes up. How does that affect you? It affects you because everything that we get is global. When the rice production in China goes down or India goes down, it hurts you. Every bit of the world's global market, because we've not allowed for people to literally take care of their own regions, we've become such a global market that when we hear about shortages and slowdowns and immediate stoppages of certain food, it will affect you. So right now, you better be stockpiling some beef or stockpiling some other form of red meat. One big thing that we've done is we've utilized sheep more. We've utilized pork more. We've utilized other cuts more. You see this even with goats and sheep. The prices actually went up a little bit on those as well because of the cost of red meat. This is only going to make it go higher. Pay attention to these stories. Pay attention to these biological situations. I know you think it's crazy. Did you know that our government just came out with an anti-defense? Listen to this now. You tell me that biological warfare is not coming and it's not a risk, like we were talking about with the China situation not too long ago and the Nipah virus and July 4th. Our Defense Department just came out with a biological virus detector. It's like a weaponry that they can detect when something is airborne. So you don't believe that is real? You don't believe that this new biological push, the fact of the dangers coming up with viral loads in the future is going to be bad? Well, it is. Because if our defense is spending billions on making this technology and we hear about these sicknesses that are hurting our food, why do you think all the biggest food players are moving off the land and into the petri dish? Foreshadowing, or they know something's coming? This leads me to another story that's very alarming. If you look on, like I have a credit card that we have just for emergencies if we're going out of town. I don't want bank access. If we ever go on vacations, things like that, I don't like my debit card being used. So we use a credit card like a debit card. But if you look on there, there's a tap to pay. You know the little icon? I'm going to show it to you right here. Now Walmart and gas stations are warning of this right here. I'm going to show you what it's doing. I want you to look at these pictures where the gentleman is taking a sticker off the original reader. Now the purpose of that and what he was showing was, a lot of times if you're doing this tap to pay instead of actually sliding your card in that's got the chip needs to be used because that shows that your card is being used in the actual reader of the store or of the provider. The tap to pay they're saying now is they're skimmers. And what they're doing is they're putting these little skims right on the tap to pay. They look just like the tap to pay. But actually what it is a microchip that's reading your card, and instead of actually tapping to pay Chevron or Exxon or Walmart or whatever gas station or whatever provider, you're actually tapping and they're getting access to your codes. So please quit using tap to pay. Please quit using tap to pay. Especially at gas stations or anything that has kind of a outside effect to where you can just tap and go. A lot of times they said even like Coke machines and other items that you can buy that's kind of on the street, those things like that, especially in cities. Use the chip that's in your card. Convenience and ease is absolutely not the best. So go back to the chip. Do not use the tap to pay because I believe there's a major warning on it and your money could be at risk, or your credit card or your data. And I don't think that's a good thing. So we go from needing to buy beef to making sure that if you're using your card, you're making sure you're using it wisely. This is the kind of risk that we face. Isn't it amazing how we live in a first world country with technology that can put people on the moon, that we can send signal all over the world, but we have to worry about the safety of our beef and shortages and worry about our card always being hacked. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Now, before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor, Chapter. Now, Chapter is one of those things that I really didn't know much about until I started doing research. What I realized is, as my father literally is having a birthday this week, and he's been talking about retirement and Medicare and kind of figuring out what's next, Social Security, all that stuff. There's so many people that's got opinions. What I've learned is usually opinions come because they're either selling something or trying to lean you one way or the other. I mean, they make money off of it. I don't fault them at that, but sometimes government intervention in our life is not the best. We don't really understand it, and then we don't know really who to trust when it comes to, do I have enough coverage? Do I not have enough coverage? Is this part supplement good? This part supplement good? Am I overpaying, underpaying? Am I covered enough for my doctors, my medicines? When we started doing research, we found Chapter. Chapter comes alongside and helps you find the absolute best situation for you and your plans when it comes to Medicare. Medicare can be very difficult to understand. Within a 20 to 30 minute phone call with Chapter, it's free. It costs you nothing. All they do is they help advise. They're going across all plans and they're trying to find the best one for you. Group of advisors that work for you. They advise you. They're not getting special pay. They're not going to try to upsell you on anything. It's literally free. The average American saves $1,100. Now, the reason I share them so much is because this actually is affecting me right now. My family is worried about and trying to figure out what the best option is for them. So like my father, like my mother, like other people, if you're getting on Medicare, or you're on Medicare, or you're about to be, please check with Chapter. Call this number below. If you're on the best plan, or you're working with them and getting the best plan, great, no harm, no foul. But if you're not, you can save hundreds, maybe even thousands. 1,100 average saving for American. Their service is absolutely free. F-R-E-E. They work for you. Cost you nothing to try them out. Please call Chapter today. There's a link in my description too if you want to use the internet site, but please, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you can save $1,100, that's a big deal. And that will help you, especially as you get on tighter budgets, as you get older. Check with Chapter today. Now, when people told you that AI and that these tech giants were not going to just take your jobs and that it was all going to work out, it's all going to be for the best. Well, right now our economy is doing good, but money is still tight. Why don't you listen to these new massive job cuts and losses? And they're against AI. This is why it's dangerous. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy just came out and said that AI is going to mean fewer jobs. He's already cut 27,000 people from a multi-trillion-dollar company. Microsoft comes out and says 9,000 jobs are going to be cut. They announced it is affecting layoffs of 9,000 employees, which constitutes around 4% of its global workforce. The layoffs are part of a broader corporate strategy of enhancing agility, focusing on strategic growth in areas of the company. Now, I'll be honest with you. Should any and every company try to find the best way to make money, save money, and help their consumers? Absolutely. But the problem is this. What is actually happening is we are becoming our own demise. I've told you this before. When we start allowing AI to be part of our life, we love the convenience, but what we're doing is actually cutting out jobs. Did you know they said that CPA, investment brokers, even down to truck drivers and call services, online bookings that utilize people on the other side, all those things will see a drop in services. They will see a no longer need of humans. Now here's the crazy thing about Microsoft, and this is where you got to pay attention to it. They're going to use the fact that they're trying to become more agile. They're trying to become more cost saving. So they're cutting jobs. What you don't know though is this. They're cutting 9,000 jobs. However, they're requesting new workers from overseas, 14,181 H-1B visas. So not only are they trying to cut your American jobs for AI, they're actually saying we're still trying to get people from overseas to work for us because it's more economical for us. So that's why I say you have to be very careful right now. If you're not on a budget, I did a video just a few days ago about making sure you're on a tighter budget, make sure you understand the kind of severity that we're in our economy. If we see AI taking our jobs more, we see the fact that it's costing more for food, like we just talked about with cattle. We see the fact that the dangers of the rent is costing more right now. Housing is costing more. We're competing against people like Blacklock's buying homes. And now all of a sudden we're losing jobs not only to AI, but still even these big companies are trying to find loopholes into the system where they can hire people from overseas to still do the jobs. We have to be very careful and conscientious. The more that we do not raise our own food, the more that we don't actually focus on building a good budget, the more that we don't become independent, the more we become dependent on the system. What did I tell you? The things with Agenda 2030, the things where we become subservient, we don't own homes. Did you know the average American, 50% of Americans do not have $1,000 to their name. 50% of people cannot afford their rent or their mortgage. They're behind by 30 days. Over 40% of people are using buy now, pay later for the things like groceries and for the simplest of like coffee, for going out to eat. This is not normal. So when we already have a very hard time. We're seeing massive layoffs, 24,000 for Amazon, 9,000 for Microsoft. This was on top of several other massive layoffs from several other businesses that are trying to get leaner. They realize we're in a different economy now. Along with the beef price going up, along with the fact that now our homes are costing more, the Fed is not cutting the rates. This is becoming a true perfect storm for dependency on the government. You know, when the government passes all these bills, what they still don't tell you is, yes, it may give you tax cuts, may give you tax breaks, but ultimately it's still going to cost you more because they're spending like crazy. You know how we solve the problem? We've got to get leaner and trimmer in our government. Not in these businesses. We need to see leaner, trimmer government, and we're not. So guess what? For the people who are getting more dependent on buy now, pay later, the people who can't afford $1,000, for a major catastrophe in their life, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, the people that are behind on their mortgages, all of a sudden beef goes up, massive job layoffs come. You just thought the reset wasn't happening. You just thought the 2030 agenda wasn't happening. It's still happening. It's just got a different face on it. No matter if we call it America First or not. Again, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a conservative. I want to see this movement keep on going. I think the tariff situation has worked out tremendously well. But we still have a major tough road ahead of us, especially as the consumer, the typical consumer in America. The reason I do these videos is not to scare you, but it's to say, look, you've got to handle your food system because the food system is still going up. You've got to handle getting on a budget because now all of a sudden we're losing jobs. If you lost your job today, how much of a bad problem would you be in? A very bad problem. We would all be. So the more that we can build independence, the more we can build sustainability, the more we can build our money up, focus on budgeting, because our government's not. You better be doing even a better job with your food system and your monetary system. This is a prime example. Massive layoffs coming, and I believe we're going to keep on seeing it. Not because the economy's not good, not because Trump's doing something wrong, because we've allowed for AI to take our jobs. We've allowed for loopholes even in these bills where Americans can still be kicked out of a job. Remember what I said yesterday? The bank. There's a bank in New York that's already using AI robots to do parts of their jobs. BMW in Tennessee or Kentucky, and those plants are using AI to do their jobs, robotics to do their jobs. Make sure you're building a sustainable life, because if you're not, you may be the next layoff that takes place. Pay attention to these stories. Last two stories I want to hit on, they kind of go together. This comes from FBI. FBI breaks this, and this is actually shared by Dan Bongino. FBI breaks Chinese spy ring targeting our military. The FBI has arrested 2 more Chinese nationals who were charged with operating as part of a clandestine spy ring to get more information from our military. It lists their names. It says they were arrested Friday in a criminal complaint that is operating a network in America trying to tap into information. Now remember, just like the tap card, just like this situation where information is online, just like so much of our life that is literally wrapped up with capabilities and data. Like for instance, yesterday my wife, her email, just all of a sudden said that we had to renew the password and change the password, and if we didn't have the 2-factor authenticity put on with my personal cell phone on it, we don't know what would have happened. Why did it all of a sudden say we were locked out of our account? Why did all of a sudden the password need to be changed? And does that mean somebody's hacking our little account? May not. But we're in a world of true vulnerabilities. We talked about the cattle, we talked about the finances. Now look at the vulnerabilities with our capabilities of even our money, such as the tap to pay, or now the situation with the spy ring. How safe is our information and data, even upwards of defense? Now, FBI is targeting this situation. What about yourself? I want you to listen to this story, because, yes, we want to protect our military. Absolutely. Yes, we want to protect big business. But what about just at your home? What about the fact that you're using Wi-Fi capabilities each and every day? Listen to this last story, and then we're going to wrap it up. Another reason not to use Wi-Fi. We actually got this from an email. We were reading this story and trying to find more information of wireless capabilities, because I do believe that all this smart stuff in our home is actually not good for us. Not only because of the electromagnetic pulses that's happening to your body and around your body, and these 5G networks and all that kind of stuff, but really, are they looking at you? Are they spying on you? Is that really happening? You hear about that all the time. They're watching you through Wi-Fi capabilities now. Xfinity just launched a Wi-Fi Motion, a new feature that tracks movement inside your home using nothing but Wi-Fi signals. No cameras, no sensors, just your internet bouncing waves off your body to see where you are. And it's automatically doing this. Xfinity just launched this motion detector, and it says no internet, no sensors, no cameras. However, it bounces wavelengths off of you to know exactly where you are so it can automatically turn on. This is the same thing that's happening when you raise your phone. It's sensing you right there. So the whole time it's been looking at you. We've talked about Amazon, how even when your phone is considered, off, say for instance it's off, it's not got anything going on it, you're not searching for anything, I kid you not, it's listening. And the reason I know this, prime example, yesterday me and Misty were talking about something, and we try to not talk about personal things, with all our devices close, but we were talking about something we were buying for the kids. I'm talking about, like, I kid you not, my kids have gotten to this fad where they like Gaga ball. Now you know what I'm talking about, the kind of it's like 4-square kickball / dodgeball put into one little ring. And it's just something like this little cheap little economic game you can buy online. And then we were talking about, look, our kids are getting into soccer. We need to probably buy some of that stuff so they can enjoy, the hot months outside and so forth. I kid you not. Got on my phone, was doing our normal stuff, doing some email checks and things like that. And the first ad that came up from a provider was a volleyball, a soccer net, and a Gaga ball net. Now, how crazy is that? So when you think they're not targeting and listening to you, they are. And then all of a sudden, Xfinity, this cable service, satellite service, is basically telling you, look, we're going to surveil you and get your motion. So we know you're in the room, so then therefore we can automatically turn your TV on, turn your Wi-Fi on, turn the capabilities to make it convenient. What did I tell you, like the tap to pay? Convenience sometimes is absolutely not the best thing. Convenience makes for what? Less freedom. Convenience makes for, well, I'm willing to give up this to have this. That's what I'm scared of the most over the next coming years. The more that we allow AI or Wi-Fi or new technology to come in our life, the less safe and secure we actually are. Prompting of emails, not a big deal. The tap to pay, I don't use tap to pay, I use the card reader. Massive layoffs, well, that kind of affects us. All of a sudden, the dangers of our military being hacked. Now, this same military that is getting hacked, and all of a sudden we bust this spy ring, this clandestine situation with Chinese military. Remember the Chinese that were trying to bring in the biowarfare? Remember the situation where we warned you of yesterday, and hopefully it won't happen, but they were talking about Chinese fireworks and causing biological terror and warfare? You don't believe that's a real thing? You don't believe the problem with the cows is a real thing with biological, viral loads? Why would you think the military would just spend billions of dollars on technology with weaponry to detect viral loads in the air, pathological readers in the air? It's actually happening. So, this video, let's recap right quick. We're worried about using our cards, so we have to use it a certain way. We're worried about cows because the sickness is going around. We're worried about our safety because now all of a sudden Wi-Fi is getting the capability, and even foreign nationals are getting our capabilities. We're worried about things that's been told to us about the dangers in our air, the causes of problems for us, not only us, but for our families. We're worried about the fact of losing our jobs. Oh my gosh, AI is moving up. Not only is it getting our information, but it may be taking our jobs too. You know how you solve all that? What do I tell you every day when it comes to prepping and stockpile? You get things and make yourself independent. You cannot solve the government's problems. You cannot even solve a lot of the problems that your local and your cities and your states have. But what you can do is you can build your family up. You can teach them, have a common sense approach and having wisdom. Learn to grow your own food or learn to build a community that's growing food. You may not can raise a cow, but you can raise chickens. You may not can raise chickens because they cluck. You can raise rabbits. You may not can raise animals, but you could raise a garden. These are things that you need to pay attention to. You may not can actually raise food, but then you can stockpile it and buy it when it's more economical. Like right now, I'm telling you, go buy meat. It's getting more and more expensive every time. You can get on a budget. You may not can solve the AI problem in your job, but you can spend less than you make so then you can start being more financially independent. Look, I don't want to lose my job. I would hate to lose my job. But we have put up, our goal has always been up to make sure we have at least 6 to 12 months worth of money put up for safety. And we do. Now, does that make me some special person? No. All it does is saying, I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking out for my family. We already have stresses. The last thing I want to do is lose my home. We already have stresses. The last thing I want to do is not have food. We already have stresses. The last thing I want to do is not be financially independent. And I'm worried about somebody stealing my credit card, or I'm using my credit card too much anyway, and I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. Pay attention. The mass layoff talk, the cattle viral talk, the spirine talk, the Wi-Fi talk, all that wouldn't bother you if you have more independence. So all I'm challenging you to do is take these stories and say, you know what, I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to save money. I'm going to try to protect my food system as much as possible. It may look different than you than does for your neighbor, but I'm going to try to protect my food system. Also, we're going to not use the card as much anymore. That convenience element, we're going to try to be a little bit smarter with that. We're not going to allow for Wi-Fi capabilities in our home just to be computer hubs all the time. Like my kids know, we're not going to allow them to be on tablets or games or virtual reality or something like that all the time. I want them outside playing Gaga ball. But I'm going to keep my phone away from you when we're talking about it. Pay attention. Build your independence and sustainability, because every one of these stories absolutely affects you to take away things that you have in freedom. Pay attention. You can't solve the world's problems, but you can start by solving some of your problems. 1% better every day, guys. That's what I tell you. 1% better every day. And when you look back, you're going to say, man, I've come a long ways. Guys, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on today's videos, from the mass layoffs to the food system, down to the dangers that's in your pocket, such as your credit card and your phone. Guys, we appreciate you. God bless. Be free. Be free.